Welcome to the largest podcast on earth. This is Sailor Tortilla phoning it in and doing something that's not Sailor Moon. I'm here with my friends Andres and Melissa. Andres is a movie connoisseur, podcast coming soon, and Melissa is a movie critic. She has an actual podcast that will be linked in the description below. So, thank you to those of us joining live. I am so excited to chit chat with my friends on a weekly basis, except today is a special Saturday episode because tomorrow the Chiefs are playing against the Eagles. And apparently, it's the third time that they're at the Super Bowl. What is that? What's
Third
going
time in
on?
a row for the Chiefs, and then I
Good
think
Lord.
fifth time in the last 6 or 7 years or something.
So people
Oh,
are
we
bored
know
of
we're
it.
all Dolphins fans here.
They're bored of these teams.
Yeah.
So, to kick off this episode, I'm going to chit chat with these two right here and ask, what would you be a Sailor Scout of? While you think, I'll give you a really terrible example. I'm Sailor Tortilla. I toss tortillas the same way Sailor Moon would toss her tiara. How did I get that name? My last name sounds like tortilla. So, I don't know which one of you wants to go first with your Sailor Scout name. So, fight it out.
Oh, well, I would easily be Sailor movie guy or Sailor football. Those are the two things I can talk about a lot. So I don't
You want to
know.
know a fun fact? There is a football Sailor Scout in season 5. He's got a little
Cool.
skirt and beefy muscles.
American football or soccer?
American football.
I don't
Wow.
remember that, but maybe that was the season that never aired in America.
That is exactly what it was, Melissa. And what's your Sailor Scout name?
I have no idea. This is on the. You didn't even prepare me for this. I need to be preprered for things because otherwise
We
I get
don't
very
prepare
angry.
for this podcast. No one in this room
No,
prepares
all
for
I need
this
to
at
do for
all.
this podcast is watch Severance. I can say I'd be the Sailor Scout of anxiety, and you know why? I would make it my superpower.
There you
I
go.
would find a way to make anxiety work for me.
You could have like a big mirror and fire it back at people.
You could be the person that does all the planning because that's what anxiety does in your brain is be like, what can go wrong? That's why
You're
we
one of
have
the
it.
cats.
There you go. Great response. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you for entertaining me with that question. We're going to get started and talk about Severance, Season 2, Episode 4. Wow, they just tossed us in. I see we're all wearing dark winter colors because we were in a very wintry place with the world's largest waterfall. Very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let that go. So, yeah, in this episode of Severance, we don't know what's going on or why they are on a Ortbo, which is apparently a company retreat. How were they allowed to go over there for what, 48 hours, 2 whole work days? Is it 16 hours? Is it 48 hours? This is the first time the innies sleep. I have many thoughts, but we can just dive right in.
Are you going to ask us our rating? Because that really helps me.
I will ask you your rating. Go ahead.
I will give this a 3.5.
What?
3.5.
Really?
And the 0.5
Wow.
is all because of Irv. I feel like this, for me, it was very much his episode. He did a lot for me. If he wasn't in this episode, it was probably going to be like a 3. But he moved the plot for me a lot because things happened because of Irv.
Yes, it was a mostly Irv and Heli episode. I'm going to kind of agree. I know this episode has been getting a lot of love out there on the internet.
I was trying to avoid spoilers for days.
It's getting a lot of love. I think it is a very different episode, but I'm going to zag and say 3 out of 5 for me as well. I don't feel like it carried on the momentum from the last episode very well. And I feel like it was just a really extreme departure. There was a lot of good lore, but again, the last 15 minutes is really what made it great at all for me. Otherwise, it was a lot of just randomness, in my opinion.
Yes,
you guys may have just influenced me. I was going to say 5 out of 5 because I had a great time. But now that I think about it, okay, I'll bump it down to a 4 out of 5 just because, to your point, it does kind of interrupt the flow.
Mhm.
But it wasn't, I have no issue with Irv in this episode. I think Irv is an excellent character to zoom in on right before his spoilers, departure from the show. Or is
Seems
it?
like it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is that really gonna be the last time we see his innie?
I think it might be, especially with Milk Chick's very doom and gloom speech at the end. Like, I think they wanted to hammer that home. Maybe
Mm,
for us, maybe for the innies, but I feel like John Turturro may not come back.
maybe
You
his
think John
Audi.
Turturro
His Audi.
altogether? Yeah, I think his Audi we will definitely see again because there's still a lot of questions about his Audi, like who was he on the payphone with and all
We
of
don't really
that.
know what he did. We just saw him
Um,
banging on Bert's door, but we don't really
Don't.
know a lot
yeah,
about what he did.
yeah, I think maybe I agree with you on like his innie not showing up again, unless you count maybe reintegration of some sort.
I think he's reintegrated, just like Mark.
Okay, let's talk about the reintegration thing. Awesome scene that happened last episode, and then thought we were gonna see the fallout of that, and then it just skips right over.
Yeah,
Skips right
and it
over.
and it's just making me like question a lot about this episode, and I'm willing to like because people love this episode. Apparently, I'm
Mm,
willing to say like maybe some of it went over my head, but
mhm.
I don't know. Like, did this happen before, after? Is this a
Great
simulation? Where are
question.
they?
Yeah.
There may have been like too many questions. I had to like really fully put
Enjoy it.
myself in the episode and enjoy it. And
I
I
feel the
was
same.
expecting something with the reintegration. We didn't get
Yeah.
anything except for maybe the little flutter of like
Mhm.
seeing his wife when he was with
Yes.
Heli. Like maybe there's a slow reintegration process happening.
Perhaps, but I agree with you. I was just like, why don't we know where he is? Like, what's the status of the reintegration? How are you going to leave it like that? Because I have no idea how many days, months have passed. Is this actually something that happened before? I don't know. But I remember this kind of was my issue between 1 and 2, and then like 2 answered questions that I had from 1. So I'm hoping maybe 5 will give us the reintegration scene that we need because since we saw, because that's a huge thing that happened. So
Yeah.
I want it.
I expected the same thing, Melissa. I thought we were gonna kick right into the reintegration, and I thought for a second, because this has happened before with other shows, I thought they released the wrong episode. Like, maybe a couple episodes in the future. Like, I legitimately was questioning when was everything happening
Yeah.
until the flash with Gemma, and then it's like, "Okay, it is after the reintegration." But maybe that took too long in the episode because, like, I would have benefited from seeing Mark have a freak out earlier just to confirm, like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the right episode.
Mhm.
Yeah. It didn't even start with Mark, which I thought was like a bold choice. I mean, the whole episode was really bold. And maybe that's the reason some people are really liking it. But man, as some we came on here and talked like such good things about like they gave us like what we wanted with that reintegration thing, and for it to
Mhm.
like start on Irv and be like basically a full Irv episode and everything about Mark does not like allude to the reintegration at all was a little
Yeah,
disappointing.
it's kind of like the episodes should have been reversed, kind of, because because you could have gotten this episode without seeing the reintegration scene with Mark at all in the last episode, and then you would have been fine.
Maybe I forget like the stuff that happened in the office last episode. I assume that was important, like for it to happen in that order, because
The only
now there's
thing I
just
I
no
don't know
more
why
remember
Irv.
yet.
Heli is okay. Should we talk about Heli now?
Yes, she had a
Yeah.
great episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
but
And
it
it was
wasn't
Um,
Helly.
I
yeah.
It was
think I
Helena.
don't know the name of this actress, but I think she is also like really killing it. She looks the same in either person she's playing, but she makes them so different. And I think it's not really that easy to do, and she makes it look easy. She's very,
It's the
very good.
face.
She's so good at it. But shout out to her.
Lots of
Fire.
really good face acting in this show.
Mhm.
I should have just gone with my gut that first episode and like just said like I believe this is Helena. It's nice to have confirmation before the final episode of the season. I think if they had
Mhm.
dragged this out, it would have brought the show down. So
Mhm.
excited for the next one, but this one, holy shit.
She said something really interesting. Helena was like, I don't like who I am on the outside. It's like if I were Mark, I would think that's a very strange comment. Why does he not question that more?
Because like isn't that something we kind of all tell ourselves like
But,
Yeah.
sometimes?
but like, why isn't she? Sorry, why isn't he like? But how do you know who you are on the outside?
Well, he was
Um.
about to get laid.
None of them really
So
know.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point. I was about to say like he just likes her, so he was giving her like the space to kind of keep it a secret and process whatever she knew about her outside self, kind of in like contradiction with what Irv did, which everybody found very uncomfortable, which was like really push her on like what's going on outside. So
I
Mark is
I
a little
had
more gentle with her and gave her that space.
I had a tiny moment where I thought that Irv was dragging Heli to the water. Because I kept going back and forth. Is this Helena? Is this Heli? And I was thinking, oh no, poor Heli's getting tortured. This is so terrible. Oh, thank God it was Helena though.
No, yeah,
Oh,
and
what's
then
Heli gonna say?
I don't know, but that's like a really great scene where he's trying to drown her only because like it's so Helena, and then in the moment when he does the glass clo thing, and then like her
Yeah.
face instantly changes, and oh, that's right, there's Heli. And I just love Irv is like, you were cruel, and Heli was never cruel.
She
And
wasn't.
Yeah,
I love
though
how he knew.
I do think that like so that's part of also what bothered me. I was like, he Irv put like way too much together with like very little. Like the night gardener stuff, okay, like
Mhm.
there's definitely an aspect where he knew she was lying about something, but he put it like all together. And I guess the reasoning was like, you're very cruel,
That
but
wasn't all. That wasn't all it was.
it
He also
so
said, "Who could afford this? Who could do this?
He
Only an
did.
Egan
Oh,
could do
that's
this."
true.
well,
And then he's been observing her
yeah,
since they got back too.
but okay. The thing is, the other characters thought like Irv was being more cruel and that Helly was just kind of like Mark is saying he kind of deserved it. So Irv just thinks she's being extra cruel because like that comment happened to like hit him in a particular way, but like all the independent observers kind of thought he deserved it. So he just kind of lucked into like, you're cruel. You might not be Helly. Who could afford to like
But there
put
was
their
more to it
any?
than
It was
that.
just too much like luck and weird like logic to it. I think
But
the
that made me
dream
buy it.
also played into it. The dream he had kind of gave him
Oh yeah, weird
clues,
dream.
but it was just
But
too like
wait,
My dreams
convenient
about.
for him to pick it up. Though I don't mind at all because the last 10 minutes were really cool.
Helena wasn't doing a great job pretending to be Helly. There was even a part where, like, she goes to Irv and she tells him, like, "We're here for you," like holding his hand or something, or like patting him. It was just the most corporate nonsense. Like, I think this show is overall kind of talking about like what that corporate nonsense is and like how fake it is and whatever, maybe to some aspect. But like,
Yeah,
Helena did that. Helly would
yeah,
have never just been like, "We're here for you, Irv." Helena would have been like, "I think there's microphones in here. I'm not gonna just accept that everything's different." I'm very excited for the next episode, and I think
I,
that's what makes me give it a high rating every time. We always finish on a note where I'm like, "Haha,
yeah.
more."
So for the audience, I do think it was obvious to tell like the difference between Helena and Helly. That's why everybody in episode 1 was like, I think it's Helena, like right away. But within the world of the story, like if you're putting yourself in it, you'd think maybe Mark would be more suspicious than Irv, and Mark never had a clue, basically.
Well,
Mark had his
And
own thing going on.
he has love in his
yeah,
eyes right now.
I
He's
guess so.
clouded.
Yeah.
Clouded.
And so I'm just like a little. I think the Irv figuring it out to a T was a little too like on the nose, but I do love that scene. I do love how he like is so rough with Helena and then he's so gentle with Helly. It was like
Yeah, it
beautiful,
was great. Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like it only like 80 to 90% earned it, to be honest.
Goodness gracious.
I hear
Yeah.
you, but I think it really worked for me because I think it was something that happened. And because they
Yes.
planted it from the beginning where he was suspicious of her from the beginning, it wasn't like completely out of the blue. So it didn't seem that convenient to me. And also, there's just something going on with Irv. Him and his Audi know something is happening in Lumen, even if the Innie doesn't really know what he knows yet, if that makes sense. It's very humble.
Yes, there is
That's
like
why
a
I'm willing to accept that he's
Yeah,
reintegrated.
I'm accepting it
I
because
believe it.
he knows somewhere in his being that something is off kilter about this whole thing. So
mhm.
if it's gonna be anybody, it's gonna be Irv. So I think that made sense. And yeah, and it's moving the plot forward, because now it's like, what is Helena gonna do now that she's been outed?
Yeah. Well, so something we're calling you Sailor Tortilla, and we're not going to call you by your real name, right?
You can call me Age.
Okay,
I know
Age.
her name.
All right. I don't know. I don't know how like private you are on this,
I think it's
but
on the title of the video somewhere.
okay.
It's my little logo, Sailor Age
Mhm.
Tortilla.
Oh, okay. Age.
This man does
couple-
not watch my channel.
I don't watch Sailor Moon. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll get into it.
Someone in the comments convince this man to watch Sailor Moon quick.
Watch it.
But Age a few episodes ago said he's like Irv might be reintegrating like psychologically with just art and like therapy. I think that's like the best theory I've heard about what's going on with Irv. I don't think he's fully reintegrated, but I do think there's seepage from one side to the other.
Mhm.
I think
But
it's sleep.
yeah.
I think sleep has something to do with it. And also, Irv in this episode took a little nap against a rock and didn't freeze to death, which makes me think that none of this is real.
I know
That
that's
looked
what
really cold.
Is
That's
it a
what I-
simulation? What is it?
yeah, I don't believe that they're actually like outside on like a camping trip. It just doesn't. It's too far fetched. But I guess we'll learn more.
I hope so, because I also had I had questions about them, the innies seeing their outies, but clearly they're not really the outies. So I was like, wait, is there doppelgangers? Are there clones of the
Yeah,
show?
the
What's going on?
doppelganger
Credits are
thing.
credited as completely different people with very few IMDb credits. And fun fact, the one that was the standee for Mark, his credit was on the first episode when there was a man watching Mark in the hallway right at the beginning of the first episode of season 2.
I don't remember that, but that's good to know.
I also wanted to say that this episode did not have the opening theme.
Oh, I love that they dived right in.
Is that significant? I don't know.
I
In
was
anime,
waiting
it
for it.
is. When it happens in anime, it's usually a good episode. It's going to be like a 2-parter episode. Like, you're getting into something like, we don't have time for the opening credits. We're getting right into this. So by anime rules, yes.
So, I mean, one thing to note, I don't think the first episode had like the regular opening credits either.
did not.
I get, because it's episode 1, we dive right into it.
Yeah.
But like
But
episode 4,
maybe there's something to that, which like in the first episode we were also only with the innies, and then we got more like context with the second episode. Maybe I'm reading into it a little too much, but I do feel like there's a lot of context missing. We were only with the innies, and that's something similar to episode 1. They both didn't have the regular opening credits, so we'll see if episode 5 rounds this out.
How many episodes is this again? I ask this every week.
I think season
swear,
1
if
is
it's
9
just 8,
episodes. So
Season 1 was 9.
we can hope for 9. We can hope for 9. That means we're about halfway done, and I don't know where this is going.
Yeah, good point.
I've been reading some weird theories on the internet, because that's why I love these weekly shows. We have time to like look up what other people are thinking, and there's people out here saying, roll with me because I don't understand why, Miss Cobell and Miss Selvig are severed. That Miss Cobell, when she leaves, she actually changes. And this time, when she left,
Oh, she disappeared.
We got her back now. She's on the bottom.
Okay, but I can't see her still. You
It's
guys,
fine.
oh, there you
Well,
are.
there you go. Oh, this is fun.
This is fun. Where is she gonna end up next?
I don't
On the
know.
right, on the left, top, bottom.
Oh, well, maybe
So
now
while we
because
wait
she's
for
the last
her,
one.
what should we talk about?
I guess that is a good point. Do you think Miss Cobell is severed or
severed?
not?
I never got the impression that she's severed, because she seems to know what's going on at all times, whether she's in or out. So I didn't get that impression. How about you?
I agree. I mean, I've never really but I have heard people say that. I guess to like explain why she's like obsessed with Mark or something. I don't know. I don't really understand why that theory came along.
I don't know either, but I also don't dive too deep into the comments or the theories. I do watch some people's videos, but I never do like a deep dive because sometimes I think sometimes us fans can have better plots and theories and twists than the writers. So I don't want to go too far ahead.
Well, also, if we wanted to, and I think we got Age back. I don't know if she could
Yes,
hear us or if we
we
could hear.
did.
I couldn't hear you guys at all.
Okay.
It's okay.
Can you
We
hear me
held down the
now?
fort. We held down the fort.
Yeah, we don't
Good
think Miss
job,
Cobell
guys.
is severed, by the way. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know if
don't
you
think
do
that.
or if you have
Oh,
a
thank
reason to believe that.
God. I don't subscribe to that theory at all. I don't understand it, not any way, shape, or form whatsoever. But I'm glad that you guys, whatever you said, I'll catch it on the
On
replay.
the replay.
There you go. Yeah, what were we about to get into? Something else.
Co
Oh, you know what I was gonna bring
theories.
up? You said fan theories and like
Mhm.
how sometimes you don't want to read them because fans have better. And then I was gonna bring up Game of Thrones and the Jon Snow like fire and ice thing. How that was like
One
a
of the
fan theory forever.
What do
That
you
he was
mean?
going to end up with
Which
Danny?
one?
Like Jon Snow's lineage,
Mhm.
and he was
Ah.
like a Stark and a Targaryen.
I
That
mean,
wasn't
but
a theory.
It
it was
was
That's
it
all
was
the
the
it was
crumbs
a fan theory for a long time before it was
until it was
Oh,
confirmed.
confirmed.
but
Yeah,
The thing is
hmm,
that all the crumbs had been laid, which is a sign
yeah,
of
yeah,
really good writing. In this case, Miss
agreed.
Cobell and whatever being severed doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think she's just pretending to be a different person. Why
yeah.
would she be severed? Oh, and another thing, talking about her, I have been listening to the official Severance podcast, and there is an origin story for how Mark found out about Severance. It's not official, it's just the way the script was originally written. Would you guys like to hear it?
Sure.
Okay. So the first episode was supposed to open with Mark. He's sad about his life, with Gemma, whatever. He hits a cat with his car, stops the car, takes the cat to the home there. It's Miss Selvig's home. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I hit your cat. And she's like, please come in. And she's fucking weird, right? She's got a mouse in a cage. And she shows him, she tortures the mouse, and the mouse is scared and fearful, and then she flips a switch, and then the mouse is cuddling with her, and she's like, this could be you. And then he reports her to the police, and when he arrives with the police, her house is gone, and there's just a porta potty. The whole house is gone. So the police leave. He goes into the porta potty, and inside is a little screen, and Miss Cobell talks to him through the screen. And that's how he became severed. But then they scrapped all that because they said that was way too goofy and not the tone they were going for. But in
Yeah,
essence, that's the origin story.
but
Found that out today.
it's not canon.
No, but the
Okay.
writer wrote it.
Okay. So that was an original idea. For some reason I thought you were gonna like tell us something that was like canon, but like not in the show.
I
You know
hope
what I'm
anything
saying?
that's canon is in
Like
the
the actual origin story of like how he became severed or decided to become severed. I thought you were gonna kind of drop
No,
that on us, which would be cool. I mean, I hope at some point we learn about it, but if not, it would be cool if like the writer just kind of told us on the podcast. That would be awesome.
well, that's what the writer told us on the podcast. He was on that episode.
Yeah.
He
Um,
himself told us this.
so you listen to the Severance podcast. I think I saw somewhere on like X or something that they expected the audience not to really catch on to the idea that Helena was Heli or
Oh,
Heli
is
was
that so?
Helena.
How's that
I
possible?
think I saw
Well,
something like that.
so here's the thing. The episodes were recorded before the show came out, so
Yeah.
they couldn't speak to the audience reception until this episode that just came out, where they talk about the episode we're talking about, episode 4, but they were only able to talk about the pop-up experience in New York where they were in the glass box with a cubicle.
Okay, so
So,
they're still before.
yeah, they're not gonna,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they'll address it, but they're not there yet. They're basically at the pop-up installation.
I think I saw somebody share like a transcript of either the post episode show on Apple TV or the podcast, and it was Ben Stiller and Adam Scott, I guess, going back and forth about like how the actors did such a great job, and now people get to rewatch and know that it's Helena the whole time. And I was like, mm,
I wouldn't rewatch for
didn't
that.
really quite pull that off. I
They
don't think.
didn't. Did they see the dailies of how the actor was acting? And I feel like she made it very clear that something was weird with her.
I mean,
yeah.
I think that's the point, right? They're trying to convey these little, like, imagine if we never caught on and then they're like, surprise, it's Helena. That would have been weird. This is just good writing.
I mean, it is good writing because I didn't care that I knew.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
think if they really thought they were tricking us and that we'd have to go back and find the clues, like
Yeah, that's weird to me. I
that's a
don't know why they
little
would think they were tricking us. They were so intentional
yeah.
about like Melissa, you said like her face, like that was intentional on the part
Yeah.
of the directors and the
Yeah.
actors.
Which is why it's a weird statement to say we're surprised they caught on fast.
Yeah.
The thing we put in the show, people saw.
Weird.
That I don't know about that. Maybe that's like a separate interview. Like I know there's some like Vanity Fair ones coming out. Like there was like a John Turturro one where he was talking about I don't even know, but I got to talk about Milk Chick for a second. People on the internet are calling him Drip Chick or Milk Drip
Yeah,
because of his outfit.
Wears nice outfits.
He was
Yeah.
mad drip. He was wearing his white outfit in the white snow.
I want to know where he was stationed at. Like, is there like a little box in those trees? Because like he didn't run out when Heli was asking for help, but the moment that Mark was asking for help, he was like, "What do you want? What is it?"
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Hey, speaking of drip, let's give Asia a round of applause for pulling out a little Soviet hat for tonight.
I know. I was gonna ask, is it cold in Miami right now?
No, she's got it
it's
because of the episode, right?
Yeah, it was a winter
Oh.
episode.
Those are the hats they're wearing at the
You know
beginning.
better. You try to cosplay every episode.
I
Yeah, you
try.
got
I
it.
even before I found this hat, I was like, "Oh, which innie is
I just
this?"
get like hot whenever I'm doing a live show. I'm hot. I don't know why.
It's all right. But Milk Chick looking good, causing chaos, throwing marshmallows into the fire. What a bad
Do
man.
you guys think that after the whole waking up Heli scene with the phone call thing, because she calls him Seth, she's like,
Yeah.
do it,
Do
Seth.
it, Seth.
And then he's on the radio saying blah blah blah, Glasgow, whatever the fuck it's called. And then Heli wakes up. So like everybody was around seeing the whole commotion happening. Do you think because of that whole thing happening that the innies will believe that that was Heli, sorry, that wasn't Heli the whole time, and that they'll believe Irv that
Well,
her Audi was the mole? Because there were so many clues that they dropped.
Helly's got to say something. She's gonna have to speak.
Oh, that is true.
I'm
Helly's
wondering.
gonna say something, and
I just
also
never
like
know because they have control over these people's minds. It is so scary.
that was kind of my question too. Like, is any of this real, or are they using mind control?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Like, it's such a great question because I don't know how much of this episode was real at all, or there's a lot of questions. But
I have a theory.
what's up?
The goat room. When we saw the goats in season 1, it was a small little barn kind of thing with one person. And in this season, we saw a big room with a hill. And I think that might be Lumen is trying to figure out the size of that room or simulation. Like if we put people in nature, how big does the room have to be? I think that they're in a big room. I don't think they're outside. And I think that because Irvin didn't die or get frostbite.
Oh, that's true. He didn't.
I know. I was annoyed by that too. He said he almost froze to death, but he didn't even seem to be suffering in any meaningful way. I don't know. It's all very weird.
I mean, they've never
I
been
think
in cold. They don't know.
make him be the person to call out things that don't make sense to him. Like, oh, the night gardener. Oh, I didn't freeze. He's like that character.
I love him for that.
No, me too. Me too.
But now consent. We got to talk about consent now because in the fallout from this, Mark is going to realize that he did not have sex with who he thought he had sex with.
You know, I didn't even think of it that way, and I think that's why this show is strange that he's probably the Audi's not gonna know that he banged Helena or Heli.
Well, he will be reintegrated at some point.
Oh, that's true. I wouldn't know, and just because we don't know anything about it in this episode. Forgot.
We don't know how it works.
I forgot.
And then also, again, is this a simulation? Did they like?
Did they really
If it is
bang?
a simulation, did they really bang? Like, what's there's so many questions. Um, I
I
do
mean,
want to point
I
out
think they
again.
did.
I
You think they did?
They're not
I
really simulating like robot people yet. That's
I
not a thing
saw
on this
a
show.
video saying, "What if she's pregnant?" And I was like, I didn't even think about that.
I think that's a ritual.
Yeah.
I think Kier is a cult, and they're doing something where, like, if an innie and an outie do it, the
Mm.
unholy child, the revolving, they're gonna put Egan in the baby, just
I
like the
mean,
opening
there
sequence.
is definitely an aspect of like weirdness like that to it, but I
Mhm.
think it's what we said originally when a few episodes ago when Helena was watching her innie um like actually have a life and be in love and stuff. There
Yeah,
was
she
like a
definitely doesn't
kind
have a
of like
life.
a jealousy to it, and she wanted to participate in that. And I think obviously there's some truth to it when she's like, I don't like who I was on the outside. So she's
Yes.
jealous of Heli, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And
A
then
and that's what made me relate to her, where I understood her motivations instead of her just being evil and being a spy. Um,
Who are you jealous of? Name 3 people you're jealous of.
Sailor Moon, she becomes queen of the earth.
Okay.
great
Um
answer.
Billie Eilish, because the author of Sailor Moon gifted her a signed,
Okay.
drawn picture. Billie Eilish wasn't even alive when I was first watching Sailor Moon. Give it to me. And then the third person is probably anyone who has. Okay, hold on. I
This is good.
fought so much to buy this Skull Panda Sailor Moon collaboration item, and I paid $200 for this. I was willing to pay $400 a couple months ago, but then the prices went down. I paid $200 for this, and I think it's a bootleg because of the mouth. Ask me about it later.
Mm.
She had those answers ready.
I know. I was gonna say very quick thinking and good move to just tie it all back to Sailor Moon.
That was
Stay
great.
on brand.
So fast. You're so
This
good.
whole podcast is off brand.
You're
We're
so
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah.
who am I jealous of? All of those peeps. The people who have that I think is not bootleg.
Okay. So that's why you can relate to Helena.
to
Well,
hell.
no, okay, hold on. No. We're taking it a direction that I didn't mean. I just mean like I understand her as a character. I know what drives
I
her.
gotta turn
Yeah,
on
Or I
my
believe I do.
it's a human emotion.
Yes.
Made her
Yes.
human. Um, yeah, I like that. I like that. It's weird because I guess we did know in the moment, or we had a good feeling that it was Helena, but in that moment when she was talking about not liking who she was on the outside, she was like kind of Heli to me, and it wasn't until like I thought about it again that I was like, oh no, it's Helena being
Yeah,
kind of vulnerable.
yes, I definitely saw it as Helena first saying those words. And then what did he say? He was like, I don't care who you are on the outside. I like
Yeah.
who you are with me. And my romance girly heart loved that line. Just wanted to
I
say
did
that.
too. I feel bad for him. They were like children.
Kind of melted. Okay. He likes her, but it's complicated because he has a wife that he doesn't know about.
But he
Yeah.
doesn't. But he does.
He does has a wife. They're one person. It's like the
Yeah.
substance. There's only one. You are
Oh.
one.
Wait a minute. This is a lot like the substance. Hold on.
There's
somewhere with it.
definitely something about it.
Similarities.
Yeah.
But that's what the voice kept telling the characters of the substance. There isn't her and you. There is only one. And that's how it is with the innie and outies.
And they did have like a completely separate experience. Ooh, I'm gonna watch the Severance again. I mean, the substance.
I've seen it so many times.
I've seen it twice. Yeah, that was definitely in my top 5 last year.
How
Love
was
that
that the
movie.
second time?
So good.
Better because
So good.
I tied it to more things. Like the first time I watched it, I made it like in my head just about like physical appearance, and then the second time I watched it, I was able to tie it to like more broad,
Yeah.
like mental health issues and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
Well, the more I watched it, the sadder the movie became to
yeah,
me. It's so sad. It is a sad film.
I hope Severance doesn't go in that direction. Severance is like kind of dark, but never really depressing, I'd say.
Well, the great thing about the Substance is that at the end of the day, it is like just a disgusting body horror movie. Like it really leans into that. So even
I
though it
enjoy
is
the
like
ending of that.
sad, the more you pick it apart,
Mhm.
it's really fun to watch. It's so fun to watch.
It's
It is
too
fun.
wacky to be sad.
It's fun, but for some people, it's a little bit too much at the end.
Oh
And then
yeah,
I always
yeah,
argue saying, but the director slash writer, Corley, is making a strong point, which is why it's so like Carrie at the prom at the end. Like she's making a point to all this.
yeah. It's a point, but like there are just people who don't like gross stuff, and
Mm.
I usually
that's
don't
that's fine.
either, which is why I was very nervous to first watch it. Remember, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Body horror is kind
Yes,
of tough for me. It's kind of
and
tough
you
for me.
know
I
what?
don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna like this.
It's gross
Then
from the beginning. It's gross from when that guy eats the shrimp.
the shrimp, ugh,
Oh, with the sound effects.
Yeah,
and the
but I
close
love it. I love that
face.
movie. I do love Severance too. I want to like take a short moment to be like, yes, I gave Severance a 3 out of 5 for this episode, and I've been picking at the things that I didn't like for the most part, but I've said it before multiple times. Like Severance is the best show on TV right now that I watch, and a 3 out of 5 for Severance is like a 4.5 for like a regular show, in my opinion. I just am being selfish, and I really wanted the reintegration stuff.
Me too.
Um, Instead, I got like the last thing I expected, which was a trip to the woods,
I will
an
say,
overnight retreat in the woods.
this was
But
very Evangelion of them to just completely throw us into something. So, like, spoiler, you guys are. Okay, hold on. For everyone watching, I've been telling these two to watch so many different things for how long have we known each other? Since 2016.
2016.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
thought it was just
goodness.
like a bit you do.
No, no, no,
Like
no, no,
name the
no.
most Japanese like
I really, really.
robot show you can think of and be like, "Oh, this is just like The Wizard of Oz," or like whatever we're talking about. You're like, "This is just like that."
So here's the
Yeah.
thing, Evangelion.
That should be your next video. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you haven't uploaded in 7 months. You should be like, if you like this, watch this anime.
I did that. I did that with Sailor Moon. I was like, watch Utena, Magic Knight Rayearth, Madoka. I'm just looking at all the figures behind me. So this show did something that Evangelion did, and it pissed off people for years. They made 4 remake movies, and they did 2 that were actual remakes. And then when they came out with the third, the original show has no time skips. Okay, it's one linear story.
Hmm.
So we're like, okay, we'll get to like maybe episode 8 ish, like maybe episode 12 with the second remake.
Is it your
And then they
birthday?
came out with a third. I don't know what that was. Then they came out with the third, and there was a 14-year time skip that they just threw in there that no one ever expected in the remake. It was not part of the original. That's what Severance did in this episode. They were like, "Oh, reintegration? You think the story's going forward?"
Yeah.
No. We got more
Hi.
questions. But hold on. I know we gave it, 4, 3 out of 5, whatever.
Mhm.
What I like about Severance is that every episode does build the world a little bit. It builds it in a sense
Yeah.
where it's like they've got this giant
Yeah.
room. Like Milchick's got his own little outfit. The little Chinese girl, like who's she again? Miss
Miss
Wong.
Miss
Wong.
Wong.
Her with her theremin was the
I love that.
strangest thing.
It's a great instrument.
We haven't even talked about Milchick's bedtime story.
Oh, the
What was
little like
that?
the
Dieter,
little
which
like
is the twin.
mythologies they
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
away with.
there's a new Fourth Testament. New. You don't know this one, but it's totally part of the canon. Here you go. Let us read. And then there's
Yeah.
Dieter, who's the
Dieter.
twin.
Twin.
Do you think this was written by Rickon?
Oh.
Well, that's something to consider, I guess, considering what we saw in the last couple episodes. But I do think it ties into what I got out of what I get out of Severance in general is like it is obviously a critique of the office life and being stuck at a desk 9 to 5 and all of that stuff. And then I guess the reverse of that, like the counter to that, is being out in nature, doing things like outside with your hands, etc., etc. So I thought Dieter Egan and his like story of like being a wilderness child made a
Is that who
lot of
you are out
sense
of
as
work?
like a
opposite.
warning of like, Ooh, don't go down this road. Eunice.
Yeah, we quickly talked about that.
This
Like
is gonna be wild.
she might be
If that's
preggers.
where the show is going, that's gonna be wild. I
That's
don't think
I
I want
mean,
the show to go in that direction.
so here's the thing with that. I was thinking, just to go off on this topic a little more since Eunice wanted to hear about it.
Mhm.
Here's my thing that I just put together really quick. One of the things that bothered me is I feel like Heli is just going to go away like instantly, right? I mean, if you're like Milchek, what's the point in keeping her around now? You just did it to save Helena's life,
Mhm.
but there's no point in keeping her here now that everybody knows like what the deal is. She's not a good mole anymore.
Unless
Um,
Mark demands her being there and they need Mark to finish the project.
Do we
sure,
wait,
that's definitely like the most straightforward way. But another way is if she's pregnant, you do recall there was a woman in season 1 that had the severance
oh
procedure
my
just so
god.
she didn't have to do the pregnancy thing. So
You're saying
maybe
Helly's gonna have to do the whole pregnancy?
it's possible. I
These
mean,
people are animals.
there's just there's a way that where like I could see maybe they set that up because there have been clues like why show us that pregnant lady,
Hmm.
you know?
Oh, I
I
thought it
mean,
was just like world building, but now
it
that you
is. It's
mention
good
it,
world. It's good world building too, but it could. It's got to lead to something like knowing that people do the severance procedure out in the outside world for things like that that they don't want to do. And if Helena's pregnant, Heli having to deliver the baby is like a good reason to see her again.
I don't
I don't
want
know.
that for her. I don't even know if the
Talk
next
about
episode's
fan
gonna still.
theories.
Yeah, but like, okay, they're in this weird outdoor, maybe indoor, I don't know. Is the next episode really gonna skip the aftermath of this? Like, I'm expecting the next episode to just
No.
immediately, like, Helly's gotta say something,
They
and
need
we
to
gotta
show
hear that.
me. They need to go back and show me the reintegration like right after of what happened. Because
I thought
I'm confused.
remember I thought that we were gonna see Mark wake up on the table and have,
I
like,
think
a
a lot of us
psychedelic
thought that. A
experience?
lot of us thought that. I
Oh,
was
my
excited
goodness.
because
Yeah.
I thought, okay, we're gonna know, like we're gonna see some flashbacks and get some freaking answers, but they
But
skipped over that.
now I have like two questions. I want to know more about the reintegration, and I want to know more about, and we'll get Age back when we get her back. But
Yes, we will.
I want to know about the reintegration, and I want to know about like how the Audis agreed to this camping trip, if it's real at all, and like the overnight aspect of it, and
Hmm.
how did they
Yes.
get on board for such a kind of ridiculous thing. Um,
Those are all great questions. And I also wanted to see a bit more of the fallout from Milkshake putting away those drawings and things. Because I just feel like there's like a lot of things that happen
I
that
think
we don't
there's
get to
like
see
a
the reaction and like the aftermath for.
I to me, I mean, that could go somewhere deeper for all I know, but I
Mhm.
think like generally that every episode you're seeing um Milchek get a little more and more frustrated with Lumen, be it like the actual like stuff that he has to deal with at work or
Mhm.
what he like his relationship with the board. Like I do think there's an aspect of things are getting like more and more annoying for him, especially
Mhm.
even as he's promoted, things are getting more annoying. So maybe at some point he will play a key role in whatever they do to kind of fix all of this.
We talk about Milkshake?
Yeah,
Yes.
Milchek.
Thank you for carrying this while my computer there's something going on where my computer is disconnecting from my 2 monitors, and then it just
Hmm.
blips me out.
No worries. That time was
Really
even smoother
stupid.
than the first time. The
'Cause I got
first time
practice
there
the
was
first time.
the first time there was
Really?
about like 4 straight seconds of panic from me and Melissa, and then we were like, "All right, let's get back into the show."
No,
Yeah.
But
this
this
time
Okay.
time,
because I had to run around the computer to go disconnect the dock and come
yeah,
back.
yeah, this time we were just like, guys, Asia's gonna be back.
We're professionals up in
Calm
here.
Good
down.
job, guys. Thank you. You're my Sailor Scouts. My Sailor Scouts right here.
See that?
My Mercury and my
In
Mars.
the name of the moon. What does she do?
This and then this, but also this.
Um,
Milkchick. I think Milkchick is gonna be radicalized.
yeah, I think
I think the
that's
start of it was the last episode.
I
what
think
they're
so
setting
too.
up.
I think I was just hoping for just a little bit more. I think that's like my consensus for this whole episode. I was wanting like a little bit more. I want to see him be chipped away, which I think we are seeing that, but it's not happening. I guess a little faster for me because we got to see a little bit in the last episode.
Yeah.
Similar complaint that I have to the whole not seeing the after effects of the reintegration thing, but yeah.
But I think we will.
Yeah,
I just thought it was
I
going
hope
to
so.
be today.
They better
Definitely will.
deliver.
I think on the topic of Milchek, the Glasgow block, the thing that basically turns off so that innies or like outies can go through the portal to the Luminoff severed floor without being
the secret staircase.
without
The
their
southern
out.
staircase.
Yeah. So yeah, it allows outies to go in and out without turning into their innie, basically. Do you think that's something that's going to come into play in some way, the same way last year or last season, 3 years ago?
3 years ago. That's the other thing. Sorry,
Yeah.
I know you're. I'll make this quick.
Sure.
The 3-year gap made it difficult to identify the difference between Heli and Helena. If we had just seen it, I'm pretty sure it would have been super, super obvious. Sorry, finish your point.
Maybe. No. So in season 1, they set up the overtime contingency as a way for innies to experience the outside world. So in this one, they've kind of introduced us to the Glasgow block as a way for outies to experience the severed floor. Do you think there's going to be some kind of plot point where that's like a reverse process where they somehow get access? Maybe Milchek gets to the last straw with Lumen. He's able to turn on the Glasgow block for
say it again,
everyone.
The Glasgow block for everyone, which I guess at this point, I mean, Mark's going to be reintegrated.
Yeah,
It's really just Dylan that needs to be like a little more aware of whatever the hell's going on the severed floor, in terms of any outie.
Poor little baby Dylan.
But yeah, I don't know. That might be like a thing that becomes a plot point at some point, because just like it's valuable for innies to know about the outside world, extremely valuable for outies to know what the hell their innies are looking at on those computers, what's going on in those hallways. Like there could be a
asking if Glasgow will be turned on so that the outies could see what the innies are seeing on the inside.
I feel like that's like a series
think-
finale kind
I
of
think
thing.
that is definitely possible.
Yeah,
I think so too. But not yet.
basically the reverse of what happened to finish season 1 could happen to finish season 2.
My question is still, how did they convince the outies to let their innies be in there for 2 days?
We don't know the answer, H, because they didn't give it to us.
So that was actually what we talked about when you were fixing your computer. Is now we don't just want to see reintegration stuff in episode 5. We want to know how the heck they got the outies to agree to this camping trip, if it's real. We're still kind of confused about if it's real.
Do you think it's not actually the time they're saying it is?
I mean, if it's like just a simulation happening in their brain, who knows? I mean, time goes out the window, a bunch of stuff goes out the window. Like, it's just so confusing because it's so hard to grasp that they were actually outside watching a television that wasn't connected to anything.
Exactly.
Seeing like,
oh my God, you're right. I didn't think about that.
Fake.
Yeah, seeing visions of like their doppelgangers and weird stuff.
Who was that creepy lady in Irv's dream?
That was Woe. That was the Temper of Woe.
The Gaunt Bride.
Yeah.
I saw a video talking about how there's religious undertones in this episode and in this dream. I didn't think about it that way.
I mean,
interesting.
Like the mythology is like basically a religious story. It's like got a lot of like
And
symbolism that is used also to tell religious stories, you know. And if
mhm.
you take it literally, it sounds ridiculous, which is why Heli or Helena talks about it and laughs. Like she's like, "Oh, he turned into moss. That's ridiculous."
That's not what she said.
Uh,
She said
what is
he
she?
spilled
Yeah.
his lineage on the floor. I had the
Oh
same
yeah.
thought though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they were going with that. He's got a
I don't-
twin and he's dead. Also, whoa is a little lady that's wet.
She looks like if she's like a walker. She looks really dead.
She looked like Samara from The Ring.
Kind of.
A little bit. Yeah. There was
Kinda.
some of that.
A little bit. I don't claim to understand that at all. That's where the show completely lost me. For the first time, I think between season 1 and season 2, this is the first time I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The gaunt bride of woe.
A
Yeah,
weird little
I didn't
computer lady.
realize.
Is
Yeah.
she me? I am woe.
I kind of want to. I don't know. I'm like interested now to learn how Kier like overcame all 4 tempers. Like I want to hear
Do you
all
think we're gonna
4 ridiculous
learn?
stories. It could be that we learn at
I
some
doubt
point.
there's ever gonna be another Ortbo ever again.
Oh no, not after the way this one turned out.
There's no
Mm-mm.
more team building trips.
Yeah,
No, and I don't think this was a team building trip. I think they
called
called
it
it
that,
that.
though.
They did, but I
Yeah.
think that this was designed to isolate Irv from the others.
Or it's to give them false sense of we're getting what we want. We want to be outside, but like we're not really
Yeah.
outside. This whole thing is a simulation. It's like it's about controlling them still.
yeah. I mean, in a way, like a team building retreat really is just about trying to make people better workers. I feel like this kind of was a team building retreat just to make them better office employees, and they gave them a little treat that they wanted, which was to see the outside, and they gave them like this mythology that is supposed to help them like kind of think outside bad, office good.
Do you think that's why they made it like an eternal winter? Like a terrible you will frolic in the meadows, frozen, dead
There's
seal.
always winter.
That's a good point. Yeah, they're basically in like Serbia or something. Like Serbia. What am I thinking?
I
Where did the
Jersey.
Russians send their prisoners?
Soviet.
the gulag.
Not the Gulag.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of like 19th century Dostoevsky.
Oh,
All right. Anyway.
Anyway, one last thing. Why the seal? Also, Irv is so smart that he can figure out that Helena is Helena and an Egan, but he can't figure out that you should not eat that decomposing seal.
I think he just has like no fucks to give in that scene. though.
We
Like,
should eat
maybe
it.
he doesn't mean it literally. I think he's just like frustrated. It's like, yeah, let us eat something. Let's eat it.
I'll watch it again to see what my impression is. I know the part where he was actually super annoyed was when he was telling Mark, "Don't make goo goo eyes at her." Like at first, you're like, "Oh, he's jealous," and then, "Oh no, it's because he doesn't think it's
He
her."
knows she's a traitor, a mole. So does is a dead seal an omen for something? Did anybody look it up?
I believe it's an omen for Irv leaving.
He already
No,
left.
but I did look up where the Russians used to send their prisoners in Siberia, is what I was thinking of. Not Serbia.
Not Serbia.
Siberia.
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 Oh,
In case
man,
anybody wanted to know.
Thank you for that, Andres.
This was filmed in the Catskill Mountains of New York. FYI.
Beautiful.
They scouted the location. They film a lot of the show in New York. I'm very intrigued to
The
see.
entire show is always in winter.
Yeah. Because here's another detail. When they showed the newspaper and the town is called Kier, the acronym for the state, it was started with a P, and I thought it was Pennsylvania. It wasn't. It was PE. A state
it's a fake.
did not exist.
Yeah, they're like in another universe.
I love that about this show. I have so many. Every little thing just invites more questions, and there's such great world building. Have we missed anything this episode? We're hitting 9:00, and we are over 30 and tired.
I don't think we're missing anything else. I can't think of anything.
I think we got everything.
We
Mhm.
did it. Another episode of Severance down. Thank you so much for those of you who are watching on the outside. To those of you right here in the little boxes above my head, that is Severance Season 2, Episode 4. We didn't give it a great rating, but we're excited for next week. We will return on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Any last thoughts before I hit this button and we all kind of wiggle our fingers until it turns off? All righty. See you on the
Enjoy the
next
Super
one.
Bowl.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, enjoy the big
Oh!
game.
If the power goes out, I will let chaos reign. Oh, I saw a
Thank you,
little
Chris
thumb.
Dang.
Thank you, everybody.